Now we're going to go into the ugly, which is gonna get a little personal, y'all. The ugliest parts of my experience during my gap year, I'm smiling because talking about this freaks me out, but I changed host families 3 times, if you didn't already hear. But that was really hard. Imagine moving 3 times in 1 school year. Not only moving all of your belongings that you brought with you to another country to 3 different households, but getting to know 3 different households of people. Then moving schools 3 times. You have to learn your school schedule. You have to learn where things are. You have to meet people constantly. I struggle with that in America. But basically, moving schools 3 times took so much out of me mentally. I was always saying,
hallo, mein Name ist Zora, ich bin die Austauschschülerin, ich komme aus Amerika und ich bleibe in Deutschland bis Juni.
That was literally my favorite, not even my favorite, that was literally my punchline at that point. Somebody could staple that across my head. I wish somebody would have stapled it across my head because I had to say it so much. I was constantly reintroducing myself to people. I was constantly having to explain myself. Why are you in Germany if you can't speak German well? Which hurt my feelings so much because coming out of language camp, I was in the mediocre level in German. I knew a little something, but people were like, so how come you came to Germany if you can't speak German? I was just like, whoa, you coming for me like that? They be honest. Yeah, so it was just moving schools 3 times in 1 school year is hard for anybody, but also I just had to change classes. I had to get to know new teachers. Forming new bonds 3 times is it's a lot. Okay, so another thing that was kind of ugly about my exchange year experience was the whole idea that CBYX had about assimilation. Assimilation is a good idea when you're going to another country because they want you to fully immerse in the country's culture, basically. They're just kind of big on like, do what the Germans do, speak as the Germans speak. Say what the Germans say, like live German culture fully, which I get. I totally get immersion. I totally get immersing yourself in the culture, being committed to partaking in German culture as if you were born German, because it helps you learn about the language and the culture and you don't stick out as much. But at the same time, it kind of made some of my experiences feel negated or feel as though it was my fault because I wasn't assimilating, and that's just wrong. It invalidated a lot of my experiences because I had a lot of times where things weren't right. Things weren't correct. And the reason I moved out of my first host family was because things were not right. I was not being treated as an exchange student basically should be. I was more like I was an au pair who gets paid, which I wasn't doing, or a maid, or someone who cooks and cleans and lives separately than the family. But when you're an exchange student, you live with your family, you go places with your family. You don't have to always go places with your family, but your family tries to make you feel as though you're part of the family and not just there to babysit or to go shopping for them. So that's a thing that I feel like is a fault because it was really rough for me to sit and feel like I was having a rough time, but it was my fault. And so for that reason, every host family I lived with after, I felt like I was on pins and needles because I didn't want to be at fault. I didn't want to be the one who was doing something wrong. So I was trying really hard to like hold back and not live fully because I was scared that I would be doing something wrong, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. The program didn't really take care of my experience the way that they should have. I had a local coordinator who wasn't too invested in what I had going on, and you know, they try to help you talk it out before you change families, of course, but like the way that all of my experiences just felt extremely just invalidated right in front of my face by someone who was supposed to be helping me. It sucked. It was ugly. It sucked. Like, not even gonna lie to you. So after that, I had a rough time just being in Germany. But yeah, that's something I had to get over, and it's very unique to me. I know a lot of people who moved host families and had a better experience. I know a lot of people who wanted to move host families and got to move with almost little to no pushback. And also, moving host families isn't the norm. A lot of people don't move host families, and they really discourage people from moving host families because they're like, this is how families are, they fight, they struggle. But I wasn't fighting, I wasn't struggling, I was being ostracized, I was being separated from the family and treated as though I wasn't really family. But I really appreciate my second and third host families because I really felt like family. Like I really felt like I was just treated right. That's just what that was. Another ugly thing is that you're going to gain some weight, Pookie Poo. Have you heard of freshman 15? Double it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, maybe not double it, but like you're gonna gain weight because one thing is that there's different food and people are going to be feeding you. There's lots of different food and you're gonna want to try it, and don't hold back, girl. If you gain a couple pounds, that is okay. But I know a lot of my friends, we gain a little chubby weight. It's stress weight. It's eating bread a lot weight because in Germany, you know, there's a lot of bread as meals. It's also different meal times because in Germany, dinner is like the small meal and lunch is the big meal. So you're switching things around. You're just getting used to a different kind of thing. Your stomach is like, whoa, what's happening? So weight gain or loss is normal among exchange students, I noticed. But definitely like tell someone if it's getting like out of hand, if it's like you're gaining a lot of weight in a small amount of time, or you're losing a lot of weight in a small amount of time. It could be for a lot of different reasons. So definitely don't just be like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be, like that's fine. Like, definitely talk to somebody about it because stress can be a factor. Make sure you're taking care of yourself because a lot of times you really have to be the one who's like, am I taking care of myself? In high school, I go home to my parents who are like, oh, you good? You okay? Da, da, da. How's your this? How's your that? And then you go to like, you're in your room on your own, like, am I okay? Am I good? I'm writing down my feelings. How am I feeling right now? You really have to check in on yourself because people will check on you, but like, sometimes it's not in the way that you need, and they're not gonna know the way that you need to be checked in on. So you have to be that person for yourself, and it's a good skill to learn. And also just making sure you have somebody you can talk to. Like the other 50 exchange students for me were somebody who I can vent to, I can call, I can text, because they're going through that exact same experience as me, just in another place. It's not the exact same experience because everybody has a very unique experience, of course, but like everybody is going through something and it's often pretty similar. Like, oh, nobody at school likes me, or I hate the food. It's that kind of thing. Somebody shares your sentiment somewhere. It's something similar. Somebody can understand you. So don't feel like you have to deal with everything alone, because that is something that people sometimes go into a super isolation mood because you're like, nobody gets me. I'm all on my own. And I feel like bad. So I just don't talk to nobody. But don't. There's people who want to hear from you. Make sure you have people you can talk to and check in on yourself also. The last ugly kind of side of an exchange year or gap year is that it's not always going to be fun. Like I cried so much. I was mad so much. I was sad a lot. Like it's not going to be the most fun time.
And if another person looks at me crazy, I'm looking crazy right back, because I know I'm not doing anything any different than anybody else.
I just want some macaroni and cheese. But for all of those times that I was crying, that I was sad, I had a new experience. I had fun. I giggled with somebody. I laughed with somebody. I did something new. Like I learned how to canoe. I tried a new food. I did something different that I wouldn't have done had I stayed in America. So I just want you to know that YouTube will really make it look like everyone is living the most fun lives they've ever lived, and social media does that in general. It's just like I'm having the best time, and that's not always true, and that's just kind of how life is. So I just don't want people to come on YouTube and watch videos and think, oh well, gap years are the most fun thing ever, I want to take one, because there's good and there's bad and there's ugly to all of it. There's layers, there's levels to this. No, for real, it's just not always going to be one level of thing. Like you might be sad, you might gain weight or lose weight, you might be really mad at your host sister and y'all get into a big fight. I did not. Me and my sister was tight. But I'm just saying, you can get really homesick and want to go home, but have to push through it because you're 3 months away from going home. Like that, it's just, there's a lot of levels. And I could talk about this honestly all day. All in all, it took me a whole lot of time to talk about this video because it took a lot of reflection, a lot of healing, a lot of thinking, a lot of understanding myself, my situation, what other people were doing and why they were doing the things they were doing and why I was doing the things I was doing. And it's hard to kind of fathom what happened in that whole year. Like it's a long time to be away from home, experiencing a whole nother culture. So basically that's the good, the bad, and the ugly of taking a gap year and studying as an exchange student. Another abrupt ending, but make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this far, and if you haven't seen my other videos, make sure you watch those. Also, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see, because I'm taking a break on the Germany content for a while because I posted 4 videos about that back to back. But yeah, let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye, friends.